Hello guys, what's up? This is Morteza and welcome to another episode of Clean Code in C# here at A Coder's Journey. In this episode, I'm going to talk specifically about choosing good names for our namespaces. Over the last couple of videos, we talked about the importance of choosing good names, descriptive names, names with, a justifiable length. We talked about the importance of our names being accurate. And we talked about casing, camel casing, Pascal casing in the last episode. And as I promised, we will talk about the different, techniques that we have when it comes to choosing names for our classes, namespaces, methods, variables, and so on. Now, I have dedicated this video to, talking about choosing good names for our namespaces. And there are a couple of tips that I want to share with you. Now, in order to do that, I'm going to, go to this calculator class, and this is the namespace that I've got. The first thing that I want to mention here is that for choosing, a good name for your namespaces, you should use Pascal casing. So as you see here, I have, choose naming as the name of my namespace, and this is, in Pascal casing. Another thing that I want to talk about is that choosing plural nouns like collections or tasks is absolutely fine when it comes to choosing, a namespace. So if you want to, choose a plural noun, that is fine. One other thing that I want to talk about is to avoid choosing very generic, general, nouns or names for your namespaces. Try to be very specific. For example, suppose here I declare another namespace and I call it, I don't know, like utilities, right? This is very general. This is very generic. So by looking at this namespace, I cannot recognize instantly what this namespace contains. So in order to make it more specific, for example, I can say HTML utilities or HTML helpers or string utilities, or for example, let's say person utilities. So I add more words to it in order to make it more, more descriptive, more specific. And another pattern that it is sometimes, it is sometimes mentioned in the documentation of C# is to choose this pattern when you want to, come up with a name for your namespaces. So you put in your company name, then you put in your product or technology, then a specific feature, and then the sub namespace. Of course, using, the company name here is to avoid any conflicts with other libraries who might have, the same product or technology. So for example, there is a technology, there is a library called HTML Agility Pack, Now instead of using this, name, which is probably going to cause conflicts with that library, with HTML Agility Pack, which is mostly used to, process HTML files, I can, add my company name here. For example, I can say, okay, A Coder's Journey .html agility pack. So this makes my namespace specific and it avoids any conflicts with the original HTML agility pack. And the last thing that I want to talk about when it comes to choosing, good names for our namespaces is that your namespace should not have the same name as a type within that namespace. For example, suppose in this namespace I have a type, I have a class called calculator. So it is not a good practice to name this namespace calculator as well. So be very careful about that. Do not choose the same name for your namespace as the name in, of one of your types in that namespace. And as for this, pattern which I introduced, I just want you to remember that not all companies or programmers use this style. This is not, a rule. This is just kind of a suggestion that you can apply in your coding. And I think it's a very good one. But remember that you're not forced to use this pattern, and you will probably come across many, software applications, many pieces of code that do not, follow this naming convention. So that was all I wanted to talk about in this episode about choosing good names for our namespaces. It takes a little bit of time and practice to, have these things that we are talking about as skills. As I told you in the first episode, it is very important to get your hands dirty and to experiment with the code, and to try to apply the techniques that you learn here in your own code base. So little by little you will acquire these skills, and before you know it, you will realize that it is much harder to write dirty code than it is to write clean code. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you've got a friend who is learning how to write clean code in C#, why not sending this video to them, and leave a comment in the comment section if you have anything to say about this topic of choosing good names for our namespaces. I'd be more than happy to have a discussion. Why not activate the notification bell so that you can get notified whenever I publish a new video. And that's it for today, and I will talk to you in the next episode. Take care. Till later. Bye bye.